Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Wanderfixed. Today we have a wonderful presentation prepared by Chad about Spider-Man Noir because the Amazon show is coming out, I believe, in a couple weeks. So we're learning a bit more about Spider-Man Noir, his origins, kind of what makes him different from other Spider-Man variants, and possibly what we can even expect to see within the show.
Have you guys read any Spider-Noir comics at all?
I have
Uh,
not. The most interaction that I have with Spider-Man Noir is from the Spider-Verse movies,
Yes.
with Nick Cage voicing him,
hmm
I
reprising the
th-
role in the show.
I think there was like an episode of like a Spider-Man animated show with Spider Noir or something like that I've seen. My only recent thing besides the Spider-Verse movies is I saw a quote saying Nick Cage was playing Spider Noir as if he was a spider trapped in a man's body. So
Yeah, but
I'm,
that's
I'm,
also
I'm
just like
curious.
that's just Nick Cage. That's Nick Cage being
Yeah,
Nick Cage. I love Nick Cage, and
That's what
ironically, I think he's one of my top actors because he's so goofy. Um,
yeah,
but
I think.
he's an oddball, and I
Uh,
like him.
I do think his weird Five Nights at Freddy's type movie, whatever that was
Yeah.
called, was absolutely hilarious and worth watching.
I
I
agree.
forget what it was called. What was that called?
I don't remember, but it's the one where he doesn't speak the entire movie and he
yeah.
just kills all of
Yeah,
the animatronics.
yeah. He doesn't say a single line, and he's just like a janitor at like this Chuck E. Cheese, and he murders
Yeah.
everyone.
Who is Spider Noir? That's what this is about. We'll get into it. But first off, do you guys have a favorite Spider variant?
Yes, I'm a big fan of Miles Morales. I know that's kind of a basic answer, but I do think that he is. I personally like him more than Peter Parker. Um, I also am a big fan of Penny Parker. I think that's a fun variant.
Nate?
Um, well, Miles is obviously probably one of the best, but I kind of like the Ben Riley, like the Scarlet Spider. I think is a really fun variant, and Superior Spider-Man when Doc Ock takes over his body. I just thought was a really fun storyline. So if
Yeah.
I had to pick besides Miles, it would be those two.
I
So,
also.
oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say I also really like the cowboy variant. I think the name is the web slinger.
That's
The
fair.
guy
I
that's
haven't actually read
cowboy.
that
I
one.
like him.
The
I
one where
I
the
would.
horse also has a spider mask.
Yeah.
That's cool. I probably also Miles Morales. I also like Miguel O'Hara, and I like Spider Punk. But
Oh yeah.
Miles Morales really won me over. Actually, not in the movies. He's great in the movies. I love him in the movies. But in the Spider-Man Miles Morales video game, um, I got annoyed with him originally because he is in the same world as Peter Parker, and he names himself Spider-Man. And I was always like, "Come on, dude, just come up with a different name. It's not like you're different variants. You are in the same world. Don't be also Spider-Man." But then they address that, and in the final moments of the game, you're like beating up the bad guy, and it's like super heroic, and he's all like, "I am Spider-Man," and I was like, "You are Spider-Man. You got it." So he's grown on me a lot. Spider-Man Noir. The first appearance is in Spider Noir 2009 in Spider Noir #1. This is set in Earth 90214. It's basically a universe that's set in the 1920s, 1930s. Most of the stories in the universe follow this noir style of crime dramas. Pretty much everything is corrupt, sad, fascist, and run by crime, kind of like today in our real world. So,
But we don't have.
so
I'm sorry. I gotta say, I love the Spider-Man Noir outfit. I think it's one of the more cool Spider-Man.
it
And the
is,
fact that
yeah.
he runs around with a revolver and just shoots people, for me, I'm
And
like,
sometimes a Tommy gun.
Yeah.
I just gotta say, it might be similar, but he's got better style at least.
Yeah.
They got a little class.
hmm
But
There
this.
are actual other heroes in this world. So like
That's what I was
Daredevil and
gonna.
Elektra, and I don't remember the other ones, but there are other heroes in this world, similar to
Oh,
our the 616 is when I say our,
oh,
but world. So
But they also have the kind of 1920s, 1930s aesthetic.
yes, it's all
Okay.
1920s, 1930s, and then kind of on from there because Spider Noir does go on to fight Nazis, so stuff like that.
oh.
So we're gonna get into some of the characters that are just important to know. Obviously, there's Aunt May. She, in this world, though, is a protester and a labor activist, an anti-fascist organizer. So she's always, standing on boxes and shouting for people to do what's right and protesting. So she's always awesome in every world, but in this world, she's like extra cool. Um,
Hell yeah.
and then Felicia Hardy, she actually runs a secret speakeasy called the Black Cat. So that's kind of where she gets her name in this world.
Wait, does that mean prohibition is still a thing in this world?
I believe so. Yes. I don't think it's like ever. Maybe it's stated, but when they go here, they talk about like whiskey and it's a speakeasy. So I would assume yes.
So okay, so alcohol.
And it's 1920s, right? So I'm
Yeah.
assuming it's going off of that.
Does he fight Al Capone at all or anything like that? You know, like Bonnie
No,
and
but
Clyde,
kind of.
like-
Basically, that the main bad
Oh.
guy is the mob, and it's run
Okay.
by. We'll get into that in a second. Benjamin Ulrich. This is not Uncle Ben, but this is a reporter at the Daily Bugle who just takes Peter under his wing and teaches him about reporting.
So in this world, Peter is more of a reporter than a photographer. Because in the 616, he's just a photographer, and that's kind of all
He's a
that
little
he
bit
has
of both.
for his
Like
paper.
in the
Okay.
comic panels, it shows him being under the Ben Ulrich's wing, and he's like helping him set up lights and stuff, and going into like the red rooms or dark rooms. What are those called? Where you where you do
Yeah,
photos and
yeah.
stuff.
dark rooms.
Um,
Yeah.
So
So
yeah,
I was gonna say, so this would be the same Ben Ulrich from like the Daredevil show that got killed by Kingpin. Sorry.
is it?
but-
Oh, I don't know. It probably is.
Yeah, it should be the
Oh.
same one.
Norman Osborn. So he is like the mob. He is basically their Al Capone. He is also known as the Goblin. He has his criminal empire. He has
Nice.
all of his enforcers are kind of weird and dangerous and different looking people. He also has reptile-like skin disorder that he was always called a freak, and so he loves having his enforcers also be freaks.
So in this world, because Norman has always kind of been like, didn't start out as evil, but just slowly grew more and more evil. And this one, he's just straight evil from the get go.
Yeah. From the very first time you meet him, he's like the Goblin.
Hmm.
He's known as the
And
mob
so-
boss overlord.
So in this world, he gets his nickname the Goblin because of his skin disorder.
Yes. And then I just want to showcase this guy. This is the Vulture, because I thought he was extra terrifying, because he's like a cannibalistic guy, and it's
Ugh.
very scary looking. So I just thought that was important to see. Like, these are what the bad guys are looking like in this universe. You know, they're very much over the top and scary and violent.
Speaking of over the top, did you hear Marvel is like they're ending the Ultimates universe and doing their own like version of like Absolute Universe?
Yeah, it's called Midnight, right? When they're gonna do like a Fantastic
Yeah.
Four one and a Spider-Man one and a X-Men one. This is off of my
I
memory.
think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Weird.
I think it's cool, right? Because I know some people are like, "What are they doing that?" But wasn't Absolute in response to Ultimate, and now Midnight is going to be in response to Absolute? I mean, Marvel and DC have always been kind of slightly
Yeah.
trying to one up each
Back
other,
and
or copy
forth.
each other.
I think people are more upset that the Ultimate Universe is ending, and people really like that one.
That's
I
fine.
think that's
Yeah.
one
Because
the
that's
issue.
where Miles Morales was introduced, was the Ultimate Universe, and so it's brought about a lot of like beloved variants, has it not?
Well, I think this is like the second Ultimates universe they've already done.
Oh, okay. So
Where- and like this one has like a version of Spider-Man that's like an adult married with kids that people really like, where it's like a Spider-Man that actually got to be happy. And they're like,
yeah.
here we go again. Spider-Man just can't be happy. They,
Can't catch
they
a
have to,
break.
they have to end the whole universe because this guy smiled one time.
Yeah, that's fair. That's part of the law.
Now, is Spider-Man depressed in this universe?
Yes and no. So this version of Peter, yes, he is probably. But this version of Peter is not timid. He's still young though. He's still under 18 at least. It doesn't explicitly say his age, but he's under 8 or 21 maybe. Because there are comments like Felicia is like, "Are you old enough to have whiskey?" And he goes, "I'll show you my birth certificate if you show me your liquor license." And so in this version, he's not timid. He is always shouting. In the very first time you see him, he is shouting at like a guy that's yelling at his aunt, and he gets like beaten up. He yells at the Goblin at this speakeasy. So he's not timid. He's not like the Peter Parker of 616, where before he gets powers, he's kind of like the nerd.
That's sorry. It's interesting that he's still so young, because maybe it's just because again, like my only interaction has been with the Nick Cage variant, but I just always envisioned him as like this middle-aged man, you know, kind of like Private Eye type character. So that's really interesting that he's still basically a teenager.
Yeah, because like I said, he gets this internship with Ben Urich, who is just teaching him about reporting. So he,
Yeah.
it might say his age. I didn't see it, but he's under a drinking age. So
Yeah. He might be like 18, get an internship during like college or
Mhm.
something maybe. Like,
Yeah.
but interesting that he's not even 21.
So what happens to Uncle Ben? Uncle Ben is obviously in this universe. Uncle Ben is in most of the Peter Parker Spider variants.
Yeah.
Uncle Ben was a pilot in the Great War and is an activist like Aunt May. He actually teaches Peter, this is their version of with great power comes great responsibility. He teaches Peter, if those in power can't be trusted, it is the responsibility of the people to remove them. And I actually really like
I
that
love
quote.
that.
It's
I really
total
like that.
befitting for this world. Um, that's why I think it totally makes sense. I think it's a good variant.
It's also, I mean, maybe it's just the state of our world, but that also feels much more applicable to the average person.
Yeah.
That's
That's-
also feeling like normally Spider-Man has a thing against killing, but this kind of seems to encourage, like, in a way, killing your enemies.
Well, I mean, if all of your all the bad people in your world are fascists,
Yeah, like, I mean,
you know,
if you're fighting a cannibal that works for the mob, I mean,
yeah.
it seems a little easier to justify.
Um,
Versus
so
like the more tragic people Peter I think normally fights, like
mhm,
Sandman in the movies is a little more tragic.
So because of these protests that Ben does against sweatshops, it actually gets the mobsters' attention. They hate this because they like their sweatshops, and they kill him. Peter ends up coming across Uncle Ben with rope marks and having been eaten alive by dogs.
That is a horrifying way to go. That's so much more brutal than just getting. Oh my.
That's
Yeah.
That's
So right off the bat, you can tell that this is a much more gruesome, more gory, more intense kind of universe because Uncle Ben wasn't just shot, he wasn't just stabbed or killed. He was eaten alive by dogs.
okay.
And roped. But we actually come to find out that he wasn't eaten alive by dogs. He was eaten by the vulture alive. And this guy, the guy with the text block that's been blubbled out, that's Ben Urich. Ben Urich actually kind of works with the Goblin, and so they come up, him and Peter come at odds. But he was the one that he knows that Ben Parker or Uncle Ben was actually eaten by the vulture and not by dogs. So right off the bat, poor Uncle Ben has a much more disgusting and disturbing death than in other versions of Uncle Ben. So.
You know, I'm just gonna say I've always had this weird thought that like Spider-Man can use like his stickiness, like maybe he could stick to people's skin and then like rip their skin off that way. I feel like this is a Spider-Man that would do it, and the Vulture would deserve it.
Yeah.
That's wild. It's such a gruesome way to go.
Yeah.
It's like,
Well, and with Uncle Ben dying, in most Peter Parker variants, Peter Parker has some role to play in that. You know, he like in the first Spider-Man movie, he doesn't stop the guy who ends up killing Uncle Ben.
Yeah.
And that's like the usual thing in the comics is that he didn't stop the guy. But it sounds like this Peter Parker didn't have anything to do with Uncle Ben's death.
Yeah, not that I know of. I don't think he had anything to do with it. I think he was maybe participating in the protests. But in this one, I wouldn't say Uncle Ben had it coming because he was doing what was right, but he was, you know, messing with the mob.
But it was only really Uncle Ben who is, I don't want to say at fault, but
yeah, I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, like there was no like Spider-Man being like, I could stop this thief, but I don't care, and now he kills my uncle. It's just straight up the mob targeted and killed his uncle without him.
Does that have an impact on his character though? Because in
it does.
Like normal Peter Parker, that's a great reason why he wants to help people is because he didn't that one time, and now he wants to.
It does. And I'll get into that in a minute. It does.
Okay.
But not for maybe reasons that you're thinking. So I'll tell you that in a second. So getting his powers. How does Peter Parker get his powers in this universe? So Peter actually Ben Urich is addicted to heroin, and so Ben is like passed out from just a heroin, not overdose, but he's just passed out. And Peter gets a call that was meant for Ben that he hears a group of goblins goons are moving an ancient artifact. So Peter goes to check it out, and when he gets there, the goons are moving a statue of the Spider God, which apparently kills anyone who touches it. And so, of course, in classic goon fashion, I can't think of that word the same anymore with all of the horrible context people use it for now. But in classic goon fashion, they accidentally drop it.
Okay, speaking of that, Minions has been tainted by the Minions movie. Goon is the way it is now.
All we have now is hench people. Is henchmen, henchwoman, hench people. That's all we have nowadays.
Like all we got is your henches. Like, is there another name for people that are
Underlings, maybe?
Under like the good words have been tainted. Come on.
Yeah, I really like the name goons because it's just such like a silly word that feels like it fits.
Yeah, my goons are gonna rough you up, and now
Yeah.
that means something entirely different.
Now I don't want the goons anywhere near me.
No, you don't. You really, really do not. That is disgusting.
Ugh.
So tons of spiders actually crawl out when they drop it, and it goes all over the goon and kills him, and he dies by thousands of spiders. And Peter is watching from the rafters, and one of the spiders actually gets to him and bites him, and it kills him. And that's the end of this Peter Parker. So
What?
He's
that's
dead
the whole
forever.
story. He's dead forever.
Oh wow.
Except that Peter wakes up.
Ugh.
What is this?
Yeah, the art in this world is so over the top and crazy. Peter wakes up in this like web, completely surrounded by spiders, and the spider god is crawling over him.
Why is he naked?
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't know. I don't think that part is explained. Maybe it's because it's his pure self. I don't know. Maybe this is his spirit form. Whatever it is.
Can we give the spider god more fur? There's like weird skin fur thing going
Yeah,
on.
why does the spider god have a nipple?
Yeah, like what's going on here?
That's a good question. Don't have an answer for the nipple.
Why does it have human arms coming out of its like legs? Like,
well, it is. We'll get into what the spider god is later, but it is like a spider god that can take the shape of a human. So I believe maybe. I don't know, maybe it was like maybe this form will make him feel nicer. I don't know. Anyways, the spider god is like, why did you tremble? Our bites only kill those with evil intent. For you will be tormented with great power. And so he all of a sudden wakes up and he is in this like cocoon of webs, and he gets himself out of the cocoon of webs and does like crazy parkour and does like a flip and like lands it, and he's all like, whoa, guess I got powers now. So that's kind of how he gets powers. He gets them from the actual spider god, not just a radioactive spider.
How
so
is
much more?
I'm sorry, the creepiest god just kills bad guys? Like it's a good guy in this universe? The creepiest
this
things I've seen?
creepy spider god. And actually, this spider god is not just in this universe. A lot of the Spider-Men are connected through the spider totem, which is each Spider-Man is like a spider totem that connects through the spider god, whose whole deal is like bringing people together that it deems that are not evil and have good intent to kill interdimensional beings that are evil, and things like Nazis in this universe.
You're using the web of life.
Yes, exactly.
So
go ahead.
Well, it's just that it is such a niche part of Spider-Man lore that like never comes up. Like I think most people only know that because of the Madam Web movie, and then kind of also the like second Spider-Verse movie. That's so interesting that like this Spider-Man was physically approached by the Spider God, as opposed to just being like chosen through the cosmos.
Yeah,
it's so weird.
Like I know they did an event about this in the comics. I know at least there was some Spider-Man video games, like I think in the PS2 era, that like addressed some stuff like this. But it's so weird that they made that this Spider-Man gets to have that be like so crucial to their lore.
Yeah. We'll get into more about the Spider God, but it did pick him on purpose. So we'll get into that. So he kind of goes on to make a costume based on Uncle Ben's war uniform. So that's where his outfit comes from.
That's really cool.
So he takes like his goggles and like the mask that he wore in the Great War, and I guess he also wears a Kevlar vest. So he wears the Kevlar vest. That's his uncle's revolver, and he becomes Spider-Man.
That's so cool.
Yeah,
actually, that's sick.
I love. Because I always just thought that it was like, oh, trench coat and goggles, because that's steampunk, that's 1920s. But that's so cool that it's like actually inspired by Uncle Ben.
Yeah.
This is actually getting me more excited for the Spider-Noir show. Honestly.
I mean, I was already pretty hyped, but knowing all of this already makes me so much more interested in the character, because it's so different from average Peter Parker. It's just like a complete 180 of all the stuff that he's gone through in terms of like tone and aesthetics and stuff like that. It's really interesting.
I hope it gets almost more of a horror element to it with like some of the stuff we've seen.
Yeah, that'd be really cool. I honestly don't think they'll do his origin though, so it's probably gonna because it is starting off with him as an older Spider-Man. And I also we'll get into this in a second, but in this one he is Spider-Man. He's not known as like Spider-Noir. but I think in the TV show they refer to him as Spider-Noir. We'll get into that in a second.
Okay. I thought that was just a thing the other Spider-Man called him to differentiate him from the rest of the Spider-Man.
No, it's I think in the live action universe, it's a thing based on rights. So powers, he has enhanced speed, strength, speed, reflexes, agility, durability. He can shoot webs out of his wrists to maneuver in between walls and rooftops, so he has organic webbing. He can create webs and nets as well. He can crawl up walls with little effort. He also has a spider sense. He wears a durable Kevlar uniform that can withstand bullets and explosions. He uses a revolver, or as you can see on the top left, sometimes a Tommy gun when it's, a little overloaded. And then also, this is where I said the Spider God really likes him. He dies in one of the stories, and the Spider God actually resurrects him and says that his services were not finished yet. So that may be one thing that he has over Peter in 616.
So what I'm hearing is my next D&D character is Spider-Noir. He's a warlock with a Spider God patron and a gun.
It'd be pretty flippin' cool. That'd be really cool.
That, again, it's just so wild that it's like, there's this 1920s world. We're going back in time. Also, there's fucking gods here. Yeah. There's a god, and he's reviving people.
Yeah, I mean, that's part of the fun about superhero worlds, right? Is that you can take something that was maybe a little bit more dark and dreary and still keep it dark and dreary, but add superheroes and gods.
Some more fantastical elements, yeah.
Exactly, and it makes it a lot more entertaining.
It's why I like the DC Elseworld, like the Marvel alternate realities a lot, because like there's a DC Elseworld one where it's like Spider-Man, Superman, and like Wonder Woman, like Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman in a universe where it's like medieval and like Superman's the prince and like Batman's like the court jester or something.
There's a lot more to his little origin here, but I felt like this was the most important stuff to get us into it. Oh no, sorry, I forgot about this. The Spider God. Now this actually Spider God is not the same as a Spider God in 616. I can't remember the name of the Spider God in 616, but in this universe, her name is Erish Kigal. And she's a Mesopotamian goddess with the queen, who's the queen of the underworld. But she hangs around in like speakeasies and other places as a mortal. That's her in that second image, known as Holly Babson. She actually tells Peter that she deliberately chose him and guided the idol into his hand so that he could help fight Nazis and interdimensional threats. I thought that was a little funny.
Specifically Nazis and interdimensional threats.
Not those are the two worst things. Those are the two worst things we could come across.
Okay, so. I'll be honest. If God came down and was like, I'm going to give you powers and I've hand chosen you to fight Nazis, I'd be like, I'm all in.
And does he kill? Yes, he does actually kill. It's not his first go-to, and Aunt May chastises him for it, but he does kill when necessary, and probably way more often than 616 Peter Parker. Like in this scene on the left, Vulture is actually trying to kidnap Aunt May, and Peter's like, no, you killed Uncle Ben. I'm not going to let this happen again. And he guns down Vulture and kills him.
Damn.
So Vulture is his very first kill in this universe.
I 100% approve.
Yeah, I think that's totally justified.
Yeah, you don't want him to eat your aunt, the only person you have left, and he already ate your uncle.
I'm sorry, if there's this Nosferatu-looking dude about to eat someone I love, I'm shooting them, no questions asked. Like, you can chastise me all you want, I'm justified.
Yeah, and in these panels, you can see, like, he's about to kidnap Aunt May. He's all like, you won't do it, all of that kind of stuff. And then he pictures his eaten alive uncle, and he's just, no words, blam, 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 guns him down and kills him.
So, okay, now I almost feel like, though I love Nick Cage, this feels like a much colder Spider-Man. Like in the Spider-Verse movies, he's a little comedic. This feels like a very hardened, cold Spider-Man.
Yeah, I would agree. He's, I think Nick Cage is probably going off of like the Spider-Verse one where he's a little bit more comical.
Well, and kind of along with that, in the Spider-Verse movies, Spider-Noir is black and white and can only see in black and white, and that's kind of like the part
and
of the
that's not a thing in the comics, by the way.
Yeah, I was about to say, all these comic panels so far have been full color, and even like with the show, they're doing the black and white version as well as the Technicolor version, or the True Color, I think is what they're calling it. So it's very, very interesting how different it seems like the Spider-Verse version is from the comics version.
Yes, I would agree. So that's Peter Parker, aka Spider-Man, aka Spider-Noir. Except it isn't. I lied to you. This is a little bit of, if you watched our video, on
You two-timing fool! What's going on here?
if you watched our video on Elsa Bloodstone, you would know I also had a moment like this where I talked about retcons. This on the left, Nick Cage live action is not Peter Parker. In the trailer, we actually see that this is not Peter Parker. This is Ben Reilly. So you mentioned Ben Reilly before as one of your favorites. We're getting a live action Ben Reilly Spider-Noir.
Okay, this was not the Ben Reilly I thought I would be getting anytime soon. The Clone Saga isn't happening.
Yeah.
I'm getting a Spider-Noir Ben Reilly? What?
So but yeah, isn't Ben Reilly's whole origin that he's a clone of Peter Parker? How is this Ben Reilly exist if Ben Reilly is Peter Parker's clone, but this version of the universe doesn't have Peter Parker? What you gotta explain, Chad. What's
the Spider God clone him? What's happening here?
So it's important to note that Into the Spider-Verse, he is Peter Parker. In the movie Into the Spider-Verse, he's Peter Parker. And this is Ben Reilly. So this is a different character than the Spider-Verse movies. In the trailer, we see his name is Ben Reilly. So I have there's a lot of theory and a lot of notes and a lot of possibility. One of the possibilities is that he's Ben Reilly. This is Sony, and so they wanted to avoid overlap and not mention Peter Parker because that gets into rights issues. The other one is that they wanted to tell a story with an older, more grittier Spider-Man, so they maybe felt Ben Reilly fit more than Peter Parker because people who imagine Peter Parker more as a teen. They probably also wanted more creative freedom on where to take this character. In the comics, Ben Reilly is a clone of Peter, so that might be something they bring up. Maybe this is a clone of Peter. Some people think that this was Peter at one point, but may have actually changed his identity, maybe to keep himself safe or whatever the reason. The creators also know this, and they said that there will be some sort of explanation or twist for why this is the case. So maybe it was Peter, and maybe he's Ben Reilly. Maybe it's a clone of Peter. But there will be an explanation. Most likely, they've said that they know. Do you guys have any ideas why this may be the case?
Well, outside of the product, you're probably right that it is a lot of copyright issues. Spider-Man has had a lot of copyright issues. That's why there was the whole subplot in Spider-Man Far From Home about him being called Night Monkey. But within World, I think because it looks like in this version he's a private eye, it would make sense that he has another layer of secret identity. I can't imagine him being a clone because that feels like a pretty weird twist for like a 1920s 1930s story. Like, it's possible, since he's fighting Nazis, maybe there's like some clone tech going on, but also I think maybe they just wanted to separate him from Peter Parker because it sounds like in terms of personality, Spider-Noir is much closer to Ben Reilly because from my understanding, Ben Reilly is much more aggressive, much more of like a brute than Peter Parker. Doesn't have that same kind of like gentleness and timidness about him. So it could just be, hey, we don't want Peter or people to like associate this character with Peter Parker, so we're just gonna separate him a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just thinking, one, copyright issues maybe, but like Sony is actually the one who owns the rights to Spider-Man, so they've been leasing it to Marvel. So I don't feel like it's that, but cloning maybe. I'm thinking the two most possible explanations is either, one, maybe they do go into some horror and maybe Spider-Man dies, is brought back by the Spider God, but because he's presumed dead, he has to create a new identity.
Mm-hmm.
Or two, maybe he's wanting to keep like Aunt May out of the crossfire of him doing like this private investigating, going into the mob and stuff. So maybe he's also created a new identity to help protect his loved ones, which would be something very Spider-Man of him to do, to create a secret identity for the secret identity.
Yeah, layers on layers. So anyways, I don't know what it is, and people online don't really know. There's a lot of theories. If you have any ideas, please leave a comment and let us know, because we don't know fully, and we'll obviously find out on the show what the writers want. But there is a reason for him being Ben Reilly, supposedly, than Peter Parker. So yeah.
Very interesting. Honestly, this gets me pretty excited for the show.
I know it makes it feel like it has more to it than just being like a nothing burger show. It feels like there
Yeah,
might be some layers to it. Hopefully,
a bit more mystery and intrigue, because
yeah.
that's also the problem with a lot of like superhero content nowadays is if they're adapting certain storylines from the comics, everyone already knows how those stories ends because they're some of the most popular comics ever. So
Mhm.
that is interesting that there's this very very unexpected element going on with the show.
Yeah, yeah. It's interesting. It keeps me intrigued. It's gonna make me watch it. So, whatever the reasons, maybe it's a good thing. Okay, so we're getting some trivia. In the trailer for Spider Noir, we see the slogan: "With no power comes."
No responsibility.
I was gonna say no choices.
With no power comes no responsibility.
Okay.
So Nate, you were correct. This is obviously their version of great power comes great responsibility. And actually, most different spider variants have their own version of this. I
Yeah.
don't think I captured them all because I couldn't find them all, but I tried to capture what I could find. Um, so in Spider Noir in the comics, it's if those in power can't be trusted, it is the responsibility of people to remove them. Madam Web, it was when you take on responsibility, great power will come. Peter Parker in 616 with great power comes great responsibility. If you can do good things for other people, then you have the moral obligation to do those things. No choice, responsibility is Andrew's Spider-Man. Tom Holland's was like, when you can do the things that I can do, but you don't, and then the bad things happen, they happen because of you. And then Miles's in the Spider Verse was when great ability comes great accountability. And then in that cartoon Spider Man that just came out, Norman tells him with great power comes great respect. Night Spider was with great power comes no accountability. I can go anywhere and take anything. Kane Parker was with great power also comes the ability to rain down hell on those who prey on the weak. People who couldn't fight the monsters. Kermit the Frog also has this one.
Of course you do. It's like my Uncle Kagi once said, with great power comes great big booty bitches. That is not what he said.
Obviously, it's not actually Kermit, but and then Leslie Nielsen and
The Kane Parker one, I absolutely love. Rain hell on those who prey on the weak. I think that's my new favorite Spider-Man quote.
I don't know if I know who Kane Parker is. I'm not.
I think
familiar.
I think he's another one of those clones.
he is also
Okay.
a clone that starts off actually as a villain, and then switches
Oh,
off.
okay.
To be a good guy.
Maybe I know who that is. Yeah.
Yeah, but he's like a lot more violent. This is Leslie Nielsen in the superhero movie. He says a similar thing.
I can't. You're kneeling on my balls. Oh, sorry. Rick, listen. With great power comes
Great responsibility?
I was going to stick with bitches, but if you want to be a virgin for the rest of your life,
Uncle Albert!
So I thought those were funny ones. So yeah, do you guys have a different one that I'm missing? Is there another version that leave a comment if there's a different spider slogan that I missed? Do you guys have one that I missed at all?
Doesn't Spider Gwen in the second Spider Verse movie have one? I can't remember what it is, but I do feel like
She might. I
She
don't
says-
remember.
okay.
Comment your favorite spider slogan
Yeah.
or your own version of it that you think is better. You
Yeah.
have some stiff competition here
That's true,
between
that's true.
Kane and Kermit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
those are both really good. So classic. If you were paying attention, what color are Spider Noir's webs?
Black.
Black.
Nice.
Okay.
So easy peasy. In the comics, his webs are black, and in the live action version, his webs are also black. They're both organic. But a lot of people online have been really weirdly angry about this trailer having his black webs because in Spider Verse, his webs are white. And so people are like, why are his webs black? But that's actually more comic accurate. And also, this is not theoretically the same Spider Noir. So, Spider-Man allowed to drink on screen?
I
gonna
would
say no.
say no.
Yeah. So according to the licensing, Spider-Man is not allowed to drink on screen. There has actually been multiple joke moments where, like in Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man, he like even as an adult, he is handed a martini, and he goes to drink it, and it's
then he
empty.
didn't take it away.
Yeah.
Oh.
So he's not allowed to drink on screen, which is funny because all of the other characters, like Iron Man and all of them, can drink, but for some reason Spider-Man cannot. And so people think
mean,
that
that- I makes sense to me because in most continuities, Spider-Man is a teenager or young adult. So you don't want, this like baby-faced Tom Holland to just be down in a bottle of
Yeah.
Fireball on screen. So
People think that him being Ben Reilly is part of the reason he's allowed to drink on screen, because if you've seen the trailer, he goes like, "I got plastered," and he gets super drunk and has like a drunken fight with a bunch of guys.
Yeah, I mean that would also make sense. For me, I think Spider-Man also has always been one of those like paragons of virtue, along the likes of like Superman. Like he's this person all about responsibility and doing good. It kind of makes sense that they wouldn't want him drinking, because that like heavy drinking is usually something someone irresponsible would do. And so him being all about responsibility.
I guess if you have, a bunch of kids looking up to this hero who's all about protecting people and making the right choice no matter what, it wouldn't send the best message to also have them be like a raging alcoholic, I guess.
Yeah. But Ben Reilly or Kane, they can.
Because they're not technically Peter Parker, I guess. So why does Spider-Man have the hyphen when Superman and Batman do not?
Isn't it just for the gag? Because he always says in the comics, like, "You're not saying it with the hyphen. I can tell you're not saying it with the hyphen."
I'm gonna go ballpark here, and I'm gonna say it was like a weird like printing issue thing where like to make it work for like some sort of grammar thing or whatever they needed to do it.
This one's pretty simple. It's not that crazy of an answer. It's basically because when creating Spider-Man, Stan Lee wanted him to stand out from Superman and not have people be confused. He also really wanted children to be able to tell the difference, because both of them ended in man. And so he really wanted to make sure if there's like a child reading it or looking at the cover, he would be able to see the separation from Superman and Spider-Man. And that be able to tell that they're not just both Superman. This one is Spider-Man and has the differentiation. So not that crazy of an answer, but I thought it was interesting that there is a reason. And this is it. So.
Yeah, because there's only like a 2-letter difference between Spider-Man and Superman. And they both have red and blue costumes, so if you're a kid who doesn't know how to read...
if they're coming out for the very first time and you're a child who's getting comics and it's in the 60s or 60s, I believe, and all you know is Superman, then maybe it would help a little bit, so...
Yeah.
Remember, everyone, say the hyphen.
Yeah. Side note, when Batman first came out, he was called The Batman with a hyphen. Like the full thing, The Batman. I left this in because I wanted to really emphasize that it was The Batman, The Batman. But after a couple of issues, it became just Batman with no hyphen and no The. But before then, he was specifically he had to have The Bat-Man. So I thought that was funny.
Random question. Does anyone know why Batman originally had purple gloves and why we haven't seen purple gloves in any of the movies?
I don't. Do you know why?
No idea. I would love though for like in the next like the Batman
Robert Pattinson movie when he's in his like tactical armor, he just has bright purple gloves.
Yeah.
Or like he gets to the crime scene and he wants to like not contaminate it or something, and he puts on like purple hazmat gloves or something over his armor.
It would be kind of fun. There's like a little nod to it. I think that would be funny.
Yeah, that'd just be cute.
Alrighty, last question, last bit. Are you guys watching in black and white or in color?
See, before today, I was very firm in the belief that Spider-Noir was only in black and white, and that's how you should only consume it. But now knowing that, like, in the comics are all color, and like there isn't a real reason other than just aesthetics for it to be black and white. I mean, I'm gonna watch it in both, but I'll probably watch it first in color.
I actually think I'm gonna watch it in black and white,
Really?
just because I feel like the aesthetics and the vibes are just a little bit more intense with the black and white. Just like look at this poster here. The top one, that's just a dude walking down the city street.
No, that's not just a dude.
That's Ben Reilly.
Nick Cage.
Yeah, it's Nick Cage as Ben Reilly.
Yeah, but like the bottom one with like the fog and the black and white just feels so much more intense with the shading and everything for me. That I think I might enjoy it more in black and white this time.
I think it would have been fun creatively if they had all the scenes where he's Ben Reilly be in color, and then when he's Spider-Noir, it's black and white.
Yeah,
I think that could have caused for some very cool transitions and stuff.
I love when movies and shows do something cool like that. I'm gonna be watching in black and white, mostly because Nick Cage just did an interview where he was like, I filmed all of my acting and we filmed most of it to be in black and white, and so it's meant to be watched in black and white. And then he went on to say, we literally added the color version because we know teenagers can't handle black and white.
Well, in that case, if Nick Cage says that it needs to be watched in black and white, I'll watch it in black and white.
Yeah.
All right. So what I'm hearing is, if you're a mature individual who can enjoy good, high quality content, you'll be watching it in black and white.
I mean, I don't think there's anything wrong with watching it in color. You know,
Yeah.
so sometimes that is just more interesting to look at.
That's fair.
But yeah, that's Spider-Noir. That's everything that I have. What are you guys' thoughts? Do you have any other final questions? Anything there?
Do you know if there is a specific arc or storyline that they're going to be adapting in the show? Is it going to be him fighting Norman Osborn and the mob? Is it going to be him fighting Nazis? Is it him, discovering more about his powers?
Yeah, so it's going to be mostly about the mob. But other than that, because this is Ben Reilly, nobody knows. Because like I mentioned before, Spider-Noir has not been Ben Reilly before. It's always been Peter Parker.
Sure.
Yeah.
And so people are like, this is obviously a different direction, and we're not really sure where it's going to go. He's also older, and Spider-Noir in most of the comics is like young adult. So this is probably a little bit different of a story than we have seen before.
Yeah.
Now, for the Spider-Noir comics, for those who are interested, you said it started in 2009. Is there more than one run, or is there just that 2009 one?
Yeah, so there was a 2009 run, which was not that long, but it was a full story. And then I think in 2020, there was a brand new reboot of it. So I believe, besides, and he was in a lot of the crossovers. So like all of the Spider-Verse comics, and he's in a lot of those. But like solo comics, I believe there was one in 2009, and then there was a reboot in 2020. So I believe only two solo ones. But then a lot of crossovers, a lot of different things happening there, so.
Well, that's a pretty approachable entry point for people who want to get to know Spider-Noir. But it also means there's not a lot of content per se where they have a million different stories they could adapt. They could either adapt, so it sounds like maybe because of the limited stuff and them wanting to do an older Spider-Man, they're just doing something brand new with no previous direction.
Yeah, and I will remind everyone that it is Sony, and sometimes Sony is putting these things out just so that they can keep the rights. And so it could be really good. These Spider-Verse movies are really good, but then they were also pumping out Kraven the Hunter and Madam Web. And the first Venom movie is actually good, but the rest are iffy. And so
what I'm hearing is it could be Morbin time.
It could be exactly.
Do you guys think we're gonna see Morbius in
I
Spider-Noir?
That's
the
the
plot.
plot.
Gonna be the final
He's
boss?
fighting a Nazi vampire version of Morbius, and he shoots Jared Leto in the
Morbius
face.
morbs so hard that he actually transcends the planes and comes into this black and white noir.
Morbius morbs into the Spider-Noir verse.
Yeah. Well, that's it.
I really hope not. If that is the case, I will be very disappointed.
Mm-hmm.
To use a bit of old Victorian slang, I will have the morbs.
Please don't ever say that again, actually.
I do think we actually need to cut that, unironically. So.
Okay, great.
Thank you guys so much for joining us today. Letting us learn a little more about Spider-Noir. If you have any other favorite Spider-Man variants or comic runs you think we should look at, let us know. Thank you so much for joining us. See you next time.
See ya.
See you next week.